Welcome to Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights, a podcast by coaches for coaches. Our guests share their hard-won wisdom to help you grow your coaching business and create a life of success. So get ready to unlock the blueprints to your success.
You do have control over how you age based on the choices you make. So listen into that episode today and learn how. Hello and welcome everyone to our podcast today. We have an amazing guest for you who is just an all-around lovely person. She's one of our clients. She's also just traveling the world and spreading good news about aging and aging well and happily and healthy. Her name is Elizabeth Phinney. Her business is The Aging Coach. The type of coaching she does is fitness after 45. So Elizabeth has been a teacher and promoter of fitness after 45 for over 20 years. She speaks, she's a trainer, she does podcasts, she coaches, and we're also going to talk about her latest endeavor, which is her newest book that's coming out. So we are thrilled to have you, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining us today and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much, you guys. It's great to be here.
It's been amazing because we both had the opportunity to have lunch with you when you were traveling. And, I always admire how much traveling you do because you were just go, go, go. So I totally respect that. And you're like a little Energizer bunny, which is awesome. But yeah, so we'd love for you to tell everyone here a little bit about your journey into becoming a coach. What did that journey look like for you?
Well, first, my first career, of course, it started in the mid 80s and I was an entrepreneur then. So I knew starting in my 30s that I really preferred to work independently. So then marriage, children, divorce, and then moving in with my mom and dad at the age of 40 with 3 babies, I knew I had to do something independently. And I started working out because I was 45. And I thought, and I had my youngest at 40. And I figured if she waited to 40 to have a kid, then I would be 80 and I needed to be in shape. So I started to exercise. And through that journey, a woman that I ran across who just happened to say, you can make a living at this. And it was like, huh? And she said, yeah, you could be a personal trainer. It was like, whoa. So I started studying and I took the exam for the American Council on Exercise. I did not want to go back to college. I didn't want to get a master's degree in exercise physiology. I just wanted to be a trainer. So I did, and I hung a shingle and was very successful. I'm in a wealthy community, and I was the only personal trainer in town. So through that process, knowing that you had to, as being an entrepreneur background, right, you had to do it differently. So I couldn't just be a personal trainer. I had to train people in a way that they had not learned before or hadn't heard of before. So I created a meditative strength training technique and called it BodSphere, which is short for body spirit. And what that is strength training and rhythm with your breathing. So typically in fitness, when you're exercising, when you exert, you are going to exhale. And when you release, you're going to inhale. Well, with BodSphere, first you breathe, and then you incorporate the movement into the breath. So you are exhaling during your exertion, or you're exerting during your exhale, and you are releasing during your inhale. And what that does is it slows everything down. And then you don't need such heavy weights. And of course, with the aging body, we want to use lighter weights because it can compromise our joints. So anyway, so then I started teaching BodSphere and getting into BodSphere classes. And what I found was people were doing yoga, they were doing Pilates, they were doing Zumba, they were doing a lot of different kinds of exercise classes that required strength in order to do the exercises. And they were doing it backwards. Sometimes they do strength training, but most of the time they just dive right into yoga or dive right into Pilates. And this was like in the early 2000s. And that first decade of 2000s, the number one injury in emergency rooms was yoga. Okay, because people were doing yoga and they didn't have the strength to do it. So that all, my entrepreneurial brain is brewing, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? And I realized because everybody is so different as they age. Once you hit 50, 45, 50, you're getting menopausal, postmenopausal, everybody's body is totally different. And everybody's physiology is totally different. And now you've got 50 years of history, a lot of it not necessarily good physical history. And so that's when the whole coaching thing started to slide it. And as I realized that these people need their own individual plan based on what their behavior has been and is now and what it needs to be. And so that's when the whole coaching thing came up. And I'll never forget, I was in Portland, Oregon, visiting my daughter. And I was taking a walk from, she moved out of her apartment for a month and in with her boyfriend. And I lived in her apartment for a month, which was glorious to be alone. And my mother was still living, so I was still caretaking for my mom at the time. So to get away for a month was heaven. Anyway, I'm taking a walk to Starbucks and and all of a sudden it was like, I coach people on how to age. I'm the aging coach, So I immediately go to GoDaddy. Is aging coach taken? It's not. Yes. So I took it. I bought .com, .net. And then one of my VAs at the time told me, she said, you got to get AGEING too, because the British version is with an E. So I bought that too. So anyways, that's when I started to then call myself the aging coach. And this was probably 5 years ago. And that's when I started. And then I created, of course, a Kickstart program. I created a 3-month program, a 6-month program, and then an ongoing program, like a once a month touching base. I wish that there was a way to get 1,000 people in a room and do it all at once, but there isn't.
Right.
Like I said, because everybody's different. So does that answer the question? That's how my coaching career got started.
It does. And what's funny, it made me think about the fact that the injuries right now that are from pickleball, right?
Yes.
There's people who are out of shape, but they're excited to go and play pickleball. And so they just jump in and give it their all. And then, they're pulling muscles and ligaments and breaking bones. And so,
even though we know who started pickleball, right? I think the orthopedic industry had something to do with it, because the rise in knee replacements and hip replacements is 62%.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. Since pickleball started. So let me tell you.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It is crazy, but exactly what you're saying, Kirsten, is that's the reason why, is people are not in shape, but they think they can go do it anyway. And my big thing is strength train first, no matter what you do. If you're going to walk, no problem.
Right.
But everything else, strength train first, and you can't go wrong.
Yes, if you want to be a pickleball pro, reach out to Elizabeth first and get strong, and then take on pickleball so you can keep your own hips
Exactly.
and knees, right?
Exactly.
Let's
have at it.
I love it. I love it. Well, it's been such an interesting journey for you, and I think sometimes people are uncomfortable talking about aging. Do you think that's true?
Oh God. Yes. And those who think that they're really old when they're 46, and those who are 65 and it hasn't hit them yet. They or the worst are the ones who anticipate that, well, I'm old, and they're 62. Well, I'm old. This is going to happen. Well, I'm old. That's why this hurts. It doesn't have to. And that's the naivete of the majority of the population, is that it doesn't have to happen in your 60s or even in your 70s, for God's sake. It all depends on what you're doing to prepare your body for that journey, right? It's taking control of your aging journey, right? So yeah, and it's a different way of thinking, and it's not the doom and gloom of, oh God, I'm getting older. Oh God, I'm going to be 80. It's more the excitement of, look at everything that I can do, and I'm 78. Look at everything I can do when I'm 85.
Right.
There was one of my inspirations is Dr. Christiane Northrup.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, her mom, I think I've got this right. Her mom, at the age of 84, climbed to the base camp of Mount Everest. And I'm like, damn. Right? 84.
Wow.
Seriously.
She would do that because, when she was 83, she woke up one day and decided, I think I'm going to climb to the base camp of Everest. She obviously had been preparing for that most of her life, right? Because it doesn't take that long to prepare for it. But you know what I mean? She had been exercising and working on her body for years in order to prepare your body for something that dramatic.
I know last year when you were traveling, you actually got injured, but they were blown away by how quickly you healed and you were right back up and running. And first of all, I want to talk about that process for you, but I also want to talk about how sometimes negative doctors are, in the sense that they just tell you that it's going to be like difficult, long, hard road. You may never recover. There's no way to improve things. And so you were able to really get back on track really quickly with a rough injury. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. It would certainly knock me down for a loop, I'll tell you. I was in California and taking a walk, as I do every day, and I just fell down. I have no idea how I fell down, but before I knew it, I was on the ground on a sidewalk in a park, like, how the sidewalks go through parks. And so I lying there, fortunately I'm body aware, right? So I'm kind of thinking, okay, what's hurt? And I move a little bit. Okay, nothing's broken. Oh no, oh my ankle. Oh gosh, oh boy, I bet I've fractured the ankle. And so I slowly climbed up and I had torn a whole bunch of tissue. Torn tissue, the problem with ligaments, tendons, and muscle tissue torn, it's a good 6-month repair at the age of 70. That's just how long it takes, 6, 8, sometimes 12 months, and sometimes longer. And that's if you're in decent shape. That's if you're hydrated and your body's working properly. So I knew my ankle was screwed up. I knew I had fractured it. My inner left thigh was completely hurt. The pain was dramatic and to a limp where I couldn't keep my feet parallel when I walked. I had to walk duck-footed just to relieve the pain. But the worst of it was underneath my side and into my breast. And all this was totally, now didn't have one physical, you couldn't see anything. This is all underneath the skin, right? So I go to my friend's place and I immediately ice and do all that. And then of course, being in California, the way our wonderful health insurance system is now, I couldn't get an x-ray, but I went to the urgent care and blah, blah, and she's going to tell, oh, this is going to be like you're saying, right? This is going to take, this is tissue damage. It's going to take months and da, da, da. And so, and of course, every single thing that she told me, I already knew. Okay, so there was no new information, but I wanted to make sure that I needed that confirmed. So I went home. I was in California for another week, and then I flew back to Florida to pick up my car, and then I drove back north. And so this was on March 3rd, and then of last year, on April 4th, I was visiting my daughter and her boyfriend in Washington, D.C. And it was cherry blossom time. So I wanted to see the cherry blossoms. And I wasn't even thinking. At this point, I didn't really hurt anymore. I hadn't done a long walk though. And I just wasn't really hurting, but I wasn't thinking about it. And so, well, let's go take a walk. So we did. And we walked all around the cherry blossoms and stuff. And he said, well, do you want to take the T? No, just walk. So we did. I guess we took the train to the starting point. And so when we got back, I asked him, I said, how far did we walk? He said, well, probably 4 or 5 miles. I said, really? So now my brain is going, okay, that was really stupid, but we'll know in 24 to 48 hours, right? Because my body's going to let me know. Fine. Nothing hurt. There were no ramifications, nothing, even my fractured ankle. Now, I didn't confirm that my ankle was fractured until I got back to Rhode Island and had it x-rays. And sure enough, there was a fracture there. But I was fine. And as I said, so it just makes sense that my body, because of the way I, diet, exercise, sleep, meditate, you name it, because of all the things that I do, my body had every resource that it needed in order to heal itself. Because this is the misunderstanding, especially unfortunately with our medical system, is that our bodies have the capacity to heal themselves. It's really that simple, but they can't do it without your help. So they need as much nourishment and nutrition as they can get in order to have the cells healthy enough to take care of whatever job happens to you or whatever, negative thing happens to you so that it can injure itself. And this is time and time again, even with like stage 4 cancer, once people start changing their diet and start doing things, even different, like pancreatic cancer and breast cancer and lung cancer, all these different cancers, people are growing out of, if you will. The cancer is disappearing because of their body is finally getting what it needs in order to heal itself. So I think to me, that was my biggest lesson, was like, shout it from the rooftops. Oh, look at me, having this horrible fall that should have, because when I was lying on the ground, I was thinking, oh my God, here we go, 6, 8 months. What's going to happen? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Why did I fall? And that was the big one. Of course, you always got to know the why, right? And so what happened was when I healed in a month, I went, that's why I fell. So I called my editor and I said, okay, we need to change the introduction of the book. And she said, you're kidding. And I told her the story. She said, okay. So I did. So the introduction, my first page and a half is this story. First line of the book is, this story is the reason you need to read this book. Yes. Because it's, I obviously practice what I preach. And so oh my God, it really works.
I love that. It works. It actually works.
Why don't we go and tell everybody about the book? I mean, let's talk about it for a few minutes because I'm so excited about it.
Oh, well, I just so happen to have a copy right here.
Oh.
So here it is,
Thrive
5
to
to
90.
95 and beyond, taking control of your aging journey, right? And so I go through, the biggies, obviously eating. I love my chapter titles, very clever, like stress, the silent saboteur, or you are what you eat, literally. And so it talks about everything, hydration and the mind-body partnership. You've got to recognize your body is a victim to your mind, right? Because it's what we think about, we get, and our brain controls what we reach out and put in our mouth, or what we reach out and don't put in our mouth, like water. So there really needs to be that connection. And that's what my whole thing with the book is to spread awareness that, and this is not easy. Living the way I live is not easy. It's a pain in the butt, but it works for me. And I have chosen this. And okay, so for me, my physical malady has been, like a lot of my life has been atrial fibrillation. Now, again, I will preface this. I do not recommend this for you. You need to consult your doctor. My doctor is very aware of everything that I do. And so would they want to put me on blood thinners? Absolutely. Do they want to give me a beta blocker? Absolutely, because that's what they know. In the meantime, I have monitored my diet well enough so I know what foods trigger my AFib, or what stressful situations, if I'm like in a stress, then I need to do some deep breathing so I can get through that, so that I can calm my system down so it won't create an AFib attack. Now, to me, a lot of people couldn't be bothered, right? Because it's much easier to take some pills, and I get that. And that's fine, because that's what you need. But what I need is not to take any pills, which I don't take any pills. I'm not on any pharmaceuticals. So, and that's my choice, because I'm taking control of my aging journey the way that I choose to. And I choose to do it as healthily as possible, without medication and without issues. So that's what I'm hoping the book will simply explain, that there are ways to do this on your own with your brain and your decisions. And, and taking care of you, and self-love, and realizing the self-love is a really critical piece of how you grow old. Now that the kids are gone, it's you and the hubby. If there is no hubby, then it's just you.
Well, and that brings me to another point. Like, I think when you talk about self-love, I've got so many things I want to talk about. First of all, I love the term aging journey. And then I love the fact that when you talked about mind, body, and soul, like you talked about the partnership of them, that you have to have a partnership between those different parts of yourself. And I thought that was beautiful. But when you think about self-care and the things that the choices we make, it's all choices. Everything we do is choices. You've made a choice to downsize and to buy yourself more freedom to be able to travel and really promote your book and to really help as many people as possible get healthy. So I'm sure that was a big decision, because I know you love your home. So what is that looking like for you in the next few years?
Oh my God. Well, it will be dramatic when I move. Of course, there's tons of emotion. My family has had this home for 50 years. So that's a big deal. And it's called the Phinney Farm, right? And I'm in a very small community. Everybody knows the Phinney Farm. And I'm right around the corner from the beach. So everybody drives by the house and they saw the for sale sign. Oh my God, you can't believe how many emails or texts, or I'd be in town. You're selling, are you moving? And the wonderful, wonderful thing was when everybody said, or when people say, are you staying in town? Yeah. Oh, phew. And it was like, oh, oh, that's nice. But yeah, once I get over the emotion of that decision, and I going through now the physical practicality of throwing stuff out. And the one piece that really helped me is, like, when people need something more than I do, I'm really good with that. Right? I don't need to sell anything. If you're in a situation that I can help you, oh my God, the rewards for that far outweigh any money they could give, right? Because it's just really good. As human beings, it's what we do to help people. Feels good, right? So that's what I'm looking, so giving my stuff away, I'm helping people, right? In kind of an around the corner way. And that, it works for me. So it's really, I'm looking forward to being in this other place that I have, which also was another miracle, to be able, I have to get a home in my town with a 3-year lease is dramatic. It just doesn't happen. But somebody's looking out. So I have that. When I'm in there and stuff is in storage, the little I will keep, and everything is gone, I can't imagine the relief I'm going to feel. Because understand, I have an 11-room 4-bathroom house. I have my fitness studio. I have a 2-car garage with a full attic. I have a full basement, and I have a meditation cottage, and I have 2 acres of land. It's a lot.
It's funny. You're buying back your time, right?
I'm buying back and my freedom.
Yeah. And
I'm buying back my freedom and in lack of responsibility.
Yeah. People don't think about that, but everything we own is something we have to take care of. And I think as we get older, we start to value time so much more. Time and money's important too, right? So cutting cost and overhead and being able to have, more money to travel and do the things that you want to do. But having that freedom, like you said, to focus on your health and having the time and energy to go for those walks or to travel or to do the things that bring you joy is so important. And I know you're most excited about, once everything's settled, is you really want to focus on your 5-year business plan, because I know you have a mission to really get out there and help a lot of people to live their best lives and to enjoy their aging journey.
Yeah.
So you're doing all of this.
Well, and it's, as selfish as this, it's all about me now, right? My kids are grown, they're secure, they have their lives to live. And oh my God, after 35 years, right, of raising kids and taking care of my mom and doing all this stuff, oh my God, it's my turn again. Like the first 35 years were mine. Then I had this 35 year of everybody else, and now it's my turn again. And so it's unbelievable how exciting it is. And just want to share that excitement, right?
Yeah, but also you're giving them a gift by going through all of your things and keeping what's important to you and giving them what's important to them. You are doing this coming from someone who had downsized her family, her parents 3 times. It's very, it's very, very difficult to go through someone else's things and to go through the memories and to, find the right place for things. And, I don't want to leave that for my children. And obviously you're not doing that for yours. And that's phenomenal. So that's a gift to them as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'll have and people are saying, well, storage rooms are so expensive. It's like, yeah, but it's worth $200 a month to keep my stuff, because I want my stuff. Could I buy new furniture for the money? Absolutely. But I want my stuff. Eventually when I get out of the furnished rented house, I want my bureau back, right? And my bed back. So yeah, it's really, but overall, I think the biggest word is exciting. And who knows what's going to happen, the adventure.
Yeah, you're so healthy. You get to enjoy it. You get to do whatever you want to do. I love this. Elizabeth, this has been so amazing. Like I said, you were such an inspiration to us and so many other people. So how can people reach you? How can they buy your book? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, they can reach me at theagingcoach.com. And if for the book, if they want to, they can get the book there, or they can go to thrive295.com and get the book there with free shipping. Also, there is one other website. If you want to check out, I do have a membership site for the BodSphere program that I was mentioning. And that is fitnessafter45.com, all written out, all one word. And, check out the video about the BodSphere program there.
Perfect. We'll put links to all of those in the show notes. Elizabeth, this has been amazing, amazing, amazing.
Elizabeth, you are so full of so much knowledge, and we're so thankful to have you as part of our in our community. If you could share one tip with the world to make it a better place, what would that be? It's
got to be strength trained first. It's got to be strength trained first to ensure an independent life in your 70s, your 80s, your 90s. It's got to be strength trained first, and then your body. It's exercise is the gift you give to your body. And so by strength training first, you're giving yourself the muscles that it needs to do anything that you want it to do. Never mind the hydration and the food, that too, but strength train first.
Love that.
Perfect. This was fun, Elizabeth.
Oh, good.
Yes, I'm so excited for you and all the wonderful things happening for you.
Thanks for joining us today on Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights. We hope you're leaving this episode with inspiration to take your coaching business and your life to the next level. If you found value in this episode, we would love it if you would subscribe and share it with someone else who you think might benefit from hearing it. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next episode.